the whole alloy and causes some major conversion process. Well, Billy says, well, even after you make this metal, and I noticed on the ship it looks seamless, that there are no welds. How do you actually put this metal together so it's nice and smooth? She says they have a technique, it's kind of like welding, but they call it an oscillation technique. And apparently what they do is they liquefy the metal. And she suggested it's by some cold process, a cold fusion process somehow, that this metal is actually liquefied. And at that point, the two joints that are coming together are actually melted in a way where they actually come together and move right into each other and become one piece. So it's more advanced than our welding process that we have. Our welding process leaves a little bead there, and we have to go along and file that down or grind it down and smooth it out. They don't have to do that. They literally just melt the two pieces together, and it looks like one. On our 49th contact, which is Sunday, and it's March 28th, which is almost a month after the 47th, there was a 48th contact. You'll notice I leave some out every now and then because more and more the contacts are becoming less information and more just general conversation about Billy, his well-being, members of the group, things going on around the house, and they're becoming more just centered around Billy's life. And in quite a few cases there was no information that was really relevant in these meetings. So I leave some of them out mainly because I just don't have time to put them all on, and most of them are kind of irrelevant. But there was a growing thing all the time, a pressure on Billy to get his group people together, to analyze the thoughts and thinking of the people in the group, to see if they were really going to be loyal or if they were going to, out of fear, take off and cause problems or whatever. So there's a lot of social pressure going on here with Billy. On this particular contact, Billy is driven out to the contact by Mr. Schutzbach and Mr. Bertzinger. And again, the automatic guiding system was having difficulty because these were new people. The system did not recognize their brain waves, and the contact was interrupted. And actually, Billy was being led to the location, and suddenly it stopped. And they had to stop along the road because Billy wasn't picking up any more signals. Semjase had to reprogram the device or computer, whatever you call it, on board the ship to be familiar with these two new people, so the contact could continue. So a few minutes went by, and then the contact started up again, and they again went off and dropped Billy off so he could have the contact. She says actually she had to finish the direction of Billy to the location by herself, and she would later load the information about the two new people into the computer so in case they came out again. This contact, Billy, shows up with two broken ribs. It seems that he'd been out on his moped. He gets himself too exhausted. He doesn't sleep. He works too hard. He's working too hard at this mission, doing all the things that he has to do, typing and getting his books together. He's so into it that he's just exhausting himself, and on his way out into the forest, he fell on his moped, fell into a ditch, and busted two ribs. Well, he shows up at in the ship here for this contact with his two busted ribs, and Semjase is examining him, and of course she's kind of giving him a mild scolding here about the way he takes care of himself. It reminds him that he's jeopardizing this mission by not taking better care of his health. She says, well, I can't do anything about it now, but at the next contact, she says, I'll have him back right away, and I will bring a device that will heal these bones, so this will heal very rapidly. Also, what she does when she leaves, she puts on a little aerial display in the nighttime for Mr. Bertzinger and Hans Schutzbach so they can see the ship. And it lasts for about 10 minutes. Now, neither one of these guys is expecting this. They're waiting down the road at some place called a pistol stand, whatever that is. I don't know, maybe it's like a place where you take your guns, like a firing range or something. But anyway, after the contact was over, Billy's just walking down the road to meet back up with him, and for 10 minutes, way up in the air, she puts on a light display with the ship. And apparently this was huge because it involved thousands of meters high. It was seen for miles all over the place, and Mr. Bertzinger and Mr. Schutzbach were duly impressed. As a matter of fact, both of them wrote long 2- and 3-page reports about exactly what they've seen, because they were pretty blown away to drive Billy out to a contact and then get to see this, on their first time out. So as far as collaboration, we have 2 more witnesses here who didn't see the shape of the ship, but they saw the ship going through gyrations and causing lights and so forth in the sky. On the 50th contact, which was not long after that, Billy's followed again. And this time he's got about 5 people with him. And he's being followed again by a little Volkswagen with a parabolic screen on it on top of it that's chasing him around. And he's also being followed by this red car again. So there's more and more people are dogging him every time he goes out to try to have a contact. So Semjase sees that someone is following, is right close behind, and as a matter of fact, this person is so close behind him it's interfering with the contact itself. So she interferes, and she sends an electrical charge of some type into the car, hitting the magneto and causing the car to fail so it can't continue to follow Billy. And she says, it looks like we're going to have to find more and more secret places for these meetings and ways of getting you out of the house. Okay, also on this contact, Billy had brought with him 5 or 6 of his friends, and they were going to be allowed at the end of the contact to see the ship. Semjase was exposing herself, I guess you might say, more and more to members of the group, because she was encouraging Billy to get the group together and trying to encourage the group members to come forward to help with the mission. So more and more the people of the group were being able to see the ship and hear more of the information from Semjase. Well, Billy has a couple of broken ribs, so she brought with her a device of some type that will take care of that. And she tells him to set in this particular spot between 2 poles. It said, that's all it says. It's just, Billy sets between 2 poles for a couple of minutes and the bones are mended. So some sort of field is generated by these poles causing rapid healing. She says you wouldn't even be able to tell that the bones were ever broken. The skin, though, still around the ribs is still inflamed, and that's going to be sore for a while. Billy has a question about the American government. He says there are rumors that the American government has crashed UFOs, and they have bodies of little ETs and so forth. He wants to know if there's any truth to that. And she says, yes, it is, that the American government has material from a destroyed spaceship. She says they don't have a real spaceship, and the pieces that they do have are so banged up that they wouldn't be able to tell anything from it anyway. And they do have, they have some dead bodies. She didn't say how many. She says they have dead bodies of little dwarf-like ETs. But she reiterated that they do not have any functioning ships. Billy wanted to know, is there an underground base at Unterberg, wherever Unterberg is? And he had been hearing rumors that there was an extraterrestrial facility there. She says, no, it's not extraterrestrial. There's no ETs there. What it is there's a group of Earth people who had built an underground facility. It was not a government. It was an independent group. And they were using the German plans that were around during World War II to build their own flying disc. And they've been reasonably successful. She says, actually, they have flying discs. It cannot leave the atmosphere of the planet. But she said that the discs have quite a few capabilities and are very advanced. And these people like to pretend that they're ETs. And she wasn't exactly sure why, but apparently they're trying to either fool people as a joke, or they're trying to, say they're ETs to cause, people to follow them or whatever. Again, just being deceitful. So if you hear about an underground base at Unterberg with flying discs, don't be too quick to think that they're extraterrestrial. It's our own people. Billy asked about these supposed tunnels that run underground around the planet. And she says, of course, in earlier times that the ancestors of the Earth people, there were tunnels built all over the planet. And there was a complete underground system. Most of them are kind of damaged.